Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead. This is Travis, here at the Prepared Homestead. Boy, is it nice and hot. But as you can tell, there's a breeze, so that's making it much more tolerable being out here. The old dog, which he isn't too old, but he's found him a nice cool spot under the shade tree here, and I thought it'd be a good spot for me to do the video. But boy, it's good old sultry hot summer. So for those of you that has animals, sound like a little PSA, give your animals plenty of water. And I seriously mean that for those of you new homesteaders. That's kind of one of the areas that people kind of forget is making sure their animals have enough water, enough fresh, clean water. They get hot too. They're out in the field, out in the yard all the time. And so giving them some extra water, ice, we give our chickens a treat every once in a while, like a watermelon or some type of melon. They like that kind of stuff, and it also helps cool them down, helps hydrate them. So anyways, that's my little homesteading tip. Mostly today's video is, I don't really know. It seems to be a lot of them lately. Basically, and let me start off with this. For those of you that watch my channel on a fairly regular basis, I think you'll agree that while I may talk about things going on in politics and in government in the world, I really try to not choose a political side. I'm definitely very limited government conservative, certainly not a liberal. But on the same hand, I'm not an overwhelming, blinded, brainwashed fan of the president either. He's definitely made some good choices and done some good things, but there's other things that, not so great. So that's kind of to start it off. But I was listening to an interview with a man named Thomas Sowell. I can't remember if that's exactly how it's pronounced, but he's a black man that has written many books, and he's conservative, and he's just been around for many years, like a political pundit. I'm sure many of you know who he is. Anyways, he was asked his opinion of the 2020 election and about Biden potentially winning or Trump being reelected. And he said that he felt, and I know you hear this kind of stuff every election cycle, but he said, if Biden wins the election, he says, I feel that will be us crossing the point of no return with this nation. And as much as I've heard that type of talk my whole life when it comes to politics, I think for once, this time, it's definitely true. And I'm not going to get on here and I'm not going to say, hey, go vote for Trump and, that kind of stuff, because I have my own little opinion, very kind of libertarian opinion of voting in general. But hey, we're not going to go into that. If you want to go vote for Trump, that's fine. Because my gut feeling is it doesn't really matter who wins this election cycle. I think if Biden wins, it would be much worse. I think the progressive advancement would rapidly accelerate. But then on the other hand, if the president wins re-election, I think the left is going to be so outraged by it that they will also accelerate their advance. So I think either way, the goose is cooked, so to speak. I think that probably come November 3rd, that is the point of no return. And is there any way to even stop it, between now and then? I don't think so. I think it's just, it really isn't even about the election or who gets voted into office anymore. It's this progressive movement, this progressive train pushing forward that is happening. That's been going on for decades now, slowly building up steam. It's at full steam right now, and we have been overly tolerant. The good people of this nation have done nothing for far too many years, and we are here today, sitting back, watching the vile, repugnant, disgusting, immoral, behaviors all around us, on the TV screen, on our computer screens, on our cell phone screens, on the city streets, violence, Marxism, the perversion of our society. We're seeing it all over. And everything that is good, everything that is moral, everything that is godly is being snuffed out left and right. And we're considered extremists or white supremacists or racists or, hate mongers or whatever the key phrase is that they're using at the moment, because we stand for traditions, for good, for the Bible, for morals. So does it really matter who gets elected? I don't know. I mean, I know there's going to be many of you that's going to say, no, we got to vote for Trump, and that's fine. I'm not saying don't. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't vote for him. I just think we're at a point that it doesn't really matter who gets elected. This crazy train is at full steam, and I don't know that there's a whole lot to stop it. At least not that we can stop. I think it's gonna ride it out for a while, and until enough good people stand up and make a stand and are willing to say, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm willing to, give me liberty or give me death. I don't think anything will change. Being a digital warrior or, armchair quarterbacking it all the time is not enough. That's not enough to stop this. It's not enough to turn us around. And we've been on this train for too long. The sexual deviancy, the accepting of multi-genders and the things that go on with children that are accepted. Just forget about the actual rights, like gun rights and that stuff like that. I'm talking about the vile disgustingness, the hundreds of thousands of innocent children a year that are killed, and the thousands and thousands of innocent children a year that are kidnapped and are abused and molested, and it goes unnoticed and it goes untouched, and we have allowed that. So maybe it's what we deserve. The Bible says that, or at least indicates and says that God ordains, or whoever is in power is there in power because that's who he wants in power. And even if it's a bad person, even if it's a bad leader, you go back and I'm gonna get onto the Bible kick for a minute, but hey, I like it, and many of you do also. Go back and look at the Israelites. When they were on the right track spiritually with the Father, they got good leadership, when they started getting their kings and their leaders and stuff. And then when they turned, the times where they turned their back on him and they turned away and they embraced worldly pagan things, and carnal, desires, it always seemed interesting that that's when they also would receive a king or a leader that was corrupt or led them down the wrong path. And so I wonder sometimes that we've gotten what we deserve, and maybe if Biden gets elected, maybe that's what we deserve. I don't know, but what I'm telling you folks is that I think we are at that point of no return. And next to a true revolution, and I'm not talking a revolution online, I'm not talking about a revolution of marching in the streets, I'm talking about a revolution of true warfare. I don't think that there's anything that's going to stop this. And it's really sad. It's just sad because I've got young children and I'm a grandfather, and the thought of the world that they are going to grow up in is pretty sad, because I just see the changes it's made since I've been a child, and it's terrifying. The things that are accepted today in today's world would have been completely unheard of 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and yet that's where we are at, and I think it's unfortunate. So, and I'm probably not telling you anything many of you don't know already, but the point is that that's the way we have to prepare ourselves. And I know I talk about prepping a lot on here because, well, that's pretty much the primary focus of this channel. Prepping and homesteading, they go hand in hand. But you have to, the number one thing you've got to do, folks, is prepare your heart, prepare your soul, prepare your mind, prepare it spiritually, so that you know exactly who you serve, and that you can have faith that that you know where you will end up in the end. But also prepare your mind for the things that lay ahead, because it's not going to be good. And I think that we're only seeing the tip, just the beginning of the vileness that they're going to throw at us. Was reading the other day that there's all these multi-genders, trans movement, and all the 100 million different genders that are supposedly out there, and they're now talking about, which I predicted this, my wife and I talked about this, I've talked about this for about a year now. They're now wanting to include pedophilia, but it's called, this attraction to minors, not pedophilia, and that is just a different type of gender, that this fluidness of gender identity that should be accepted. So it's just one more thing. We murder them in the womb, we molest them and legally molest them, and it's okay. Now I guess that's what they're wanting to push. Excuse me. This is the world that we live in now, and it's unfortunate. I remember my grandfather, who died 30 years ago. He was an old-fashioned country preacher. Church he preached in didn't even have running water, had outside toilets, an old wood-burning stove in the back of the church. And I remember him saying many times, if God doesn't come back soon, he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. And for those of you that know your Bible, you know what he means by that. And I think we're getting to that point, that the things that good people in America, whether they're even Christian or not, or Bible believing, or Torah observant, even just good plain old people, the stuff that is happening and being talked about, they can't even wrap their head around it because it's so repugnant. And yet it's become normalized. It's become okay. And so forget for a moment the push for Marxism, the push for radical socialism and anarchism, and the stripping away of rights. Just look at the vile immortality that we are boasting, and we are praising, and we are glorifying in this nation. And it becomes really no big surprise that rights are being trampled on, that the very fabric of what this nation was founded on, of liberty and individual freedom, is very quickly vanishing. So how do you get ready for that? Well, like I said, heart, head, mind, soul, spirit, those are important, very important. Number one thing. Get your family ready. If you have children, don't send them to school. Just don't. Figure out some way. If you still send your children to school, figure out some way to keep them home. The indoctrination and the brainwashing is over the top, and I suspect it's going to be worse now than ever. They had plenty of time at home. This last semester, most schools, cut out early, and some of them may not go back this fall. And there's going to be a real push to re-indoctrinate children because they've been around their parents too long. So keep your kids out of school if you can. I mean, it's got to be a thing now. It's not if you can, it's you must. You must. Don't send your kids to school. Become self-sufficient. Sorry about the wind noise if it's coming through. It's getting a little breezy, but it feels so nice. Become as self-sufficient as you can. Connect and find and build relationships locally in your area with like-minded individuals. Do this for protection, for security, for sustainments and survivability, and just for building community. You can call it a mutual assistance group. You can just call it your own little club. I don't care what you call it. But finding other people like you in your area and building some level of community with them. Even if you're kind of the lone wolf guy, at least having some level of connection with people around you, your own support group. And little by little, you never know how that will develop. But I believe it's very important. I believe that's how we were created to be. And then lastly, prep up like you've never prepped before. Make it a high priority. You know, most preppers set aside so much money a month, or try to anyways. It's got to be one of the most important things right now in your life, I feel, to get yourselves ready, because the craziness of the pandemic or the plandemic, the craziness of the election, the craziness of the rioting and the insurgency, and more threats from abroad, foreign invasion threats. It's just on and on. The list grows daily. I think that there's no longer an excuse to say, well, someday I'll start putting stuff aside. You've got to start doing it now, folks. Get yourself as prepared as possible. Reach out to those. If you're just learning, it's not too late. You may not be able to be at the expert level of preparedness, but you can certainly be more prepared than your neighbor, people down the street. So start now. There's all kinds of videos. I have several. There's other channels that have them. There's books. There's message boards, Facebook groups, all sorts of things, resources that you can find on what to do and how to get ready for it. Because time is ticking away, and it's ticking away fast. That old hourglass is about to run out of sand, folks. And I hate to sound like I'm being dramatic or warmongering or, trying to hype the situation up. And I always try not to do that. But I'm telling you, the things that are going on out in public, the things that are going on in the mainstream news that they're admitting and talking to, and then the things that are going on behind the scenes, the rumors, the whispers, the leaks, the stuff that's happening, none of it's good, folks. And I think we are experiencing some sort of reset, a new age of that we're going to see societies fall and collapse. It's a theme that happens throughout history. They rise and then they fall. And I think that we're on the downside of that rise. I think we're in the middle of the fall, and we have to get ready for it. Because if we don't, we've already lost. It's as simple as that. Get your families ready. Get your hearts ready. Get your soul ready. Your mind, your spirit, everything. Your supplies, your training. Because I don't think it's going to get better for a while. It looks pretty scary out there sometimes. I mean, it's the honest truth. So, all right, folks. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.